Like to call to order the City of Saugatuck City Council Workshop for August 19th, 2026. Jamie, will you call the roll?
Anderson,
Here.
Clark, Dean,
Here.
Gardner, Muncy,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Stanton.
Here. We have a quorum. Russ is running late, so he will be here, and Joe is not here. So can I get a motion to excuse Joe from this evening's meeting? Or
Madam Mayor,
Yep.
I move we excuse Councilmember Clark from today's meeting.
Second.
all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda changes. We talked informally
Yes.
about the short-term rental licensing resolution, which is 7B, and pushing that to the next meeting when we have all of our council members here.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move. Unfortunately, I'd like to, but we haven't changed anything, right?
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to change discussion item 7B to our next workshop so that all council folks are present during that discussion.
Second.
All in favor, or Jamie, all in favor, say yes.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, Rakesh, good to see you. Yeah.
You get a walk-in.
Right, you got the steps. We have no guest speaker, so that takes us to public comment on agenda items only. Anyone in the room wish to make a public comment? Anyone online wish to make a comment? Raise your Zoom hand. All right, I don't see any. Do you, Jamie? I do not. All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
This is Christopher Hauk. I'm sorry. I'm not really good on this Zoom meetings. I didn't know how to raise my hand on here.
Okay. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes, and if you can reference the agenda item you wish to address.
Yeah, this is Christopher Hauk, 731 Pleasant Street. So it's agenda item, I guess, C, right-of-way application permit. So Lewis Allen and myself are owners of the property, and we're here for the meeting to discuss the proposed application. So just wanted to let you know we're here online, and we are looking forward to this committee meeting.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Anyone else on Zoom wish to speak? And anyone else in the room wish to make a public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment and move to action items, starting with the approval of the regular city council meeting minutes from August 10th. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll move to approve the regular city council meeting minutes from August 10th, 2026.
I'll second.
Any discussion before we vote? Okay, it's a roll call vote.
Anderson,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Muncy,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Stanton.
Yes.
Motion carries. Great, that takes us to discussion items. 7A is the presentation on recommended brand direction. Quick reminder that both Chris and Lauren from council were part of this. Ryan, do you want to tee it up or have Tim just dive in, or how do you want to handle it?
Yeah, just briefly, Mayor, as you all know, you formed a branding advisory committee, which included myself, council members Peterson, Stanton, Tim Straker from our historic district commission, and Kristen Armstrong from the Saugatuck Center for the Arts. And you all approved a proposal from Concept A to help us with this project and come up with a recommendation for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Straker and Concept A to kind of walk through the presentation and go from there.
Real quick, Ryan, this wasn't included in our packet, was it?
Correct. We'll get you a copy of the presentation and make sure it's
So we'll
okay.
to get for people to see hear the context for it before they looked at the design.
Okay.
Okay, hello, everyone.
Hey, Tim.
I won't repeat what Ryan just said, but I will say, I think all the members of the committee are here.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes,
Good.
so it was a really good committee and a really good process. Kudos to Concept A for how they led us through this, how they listened to our feedback. I think every committee member had a point of view, and Concept A did a really nice job of listening to that and providing feedback against that. So what you're seeing today is the result of a few different rounds of working against the goals and objectives. So I'd like to start there. Jamie, if you want to swip to the next page. Thank you. So just to ground ourselves on the goals and objectives for this project, the goal of the rebranding project, we wanted to create a modern identity that reflects the authentic character of our community and something that captures the culture, the natural beauty, the charm, the sophistication in a way that feels said no better than this, distinctly Saugatuck. Every good branding project starts with a primary audience and understanding really who you're going after. In this case, our primary audience was visitors and tourists who are experiencing this from the outside in. And our goal was to create a strong, sort of immediate impression that reflects the character and the quality of the place. But the secondary audience of residents, I think, is really important as well. And in no other case that, in sort of branding world, I think is this more appropriate that it's almost like a recycling logo. The primary audience sort of depends on the secondary audience, which is residents, and the secondary audience sort of depends on the primary audience. There's a tremendous halo effect of how you feel as a community member for how visitors and tourists experience our community. And there's a tremendous sense of pride in that. So we kept going back to what we were trying to accomplish with the primary and secondary audience definitions. At its core, At its core, there were 3 brand pillars. We wanted to make sure this felt authentic to its core, artful by nature, and elevated yet approachable. So I'm going to unpack each of these a little bit because I think it's really important for what you're going to see. When we say authentic and at its core, we mean the brand should feel grounded and genuine while reflecting the individuality of the community where the character, the nostalgia, and kind of this touch of quirk exists side by side. And we think that's a really nice description of what we all feel in this community every day. Number 2, it's artful by nature in that the brand should reflect a sense of artistry and feel natural and integrated in the everyday, not applied or decorative. That's really important too. I think the authenticity of that artful by nature comment oozes out of this community, and we wanted this identity to feel that way. Last, we wanted it to feel elevated yet approachable. Concept A described this as a rare high-low dynamic, and I think that's a good description where small town warmth and charm coexist. There's a level of refinement, but it never feels out of reach. It just sort of feels like this distinctive, easy to engage and easy to understand kind of vibe that goes on here. We did do a little bit of research prior to the design work. The survey had about 322 responses. The first question was about our community members' appetite for change. And generally the feedback was somewhere between a moderate refresh first and a completely new direction with a subtle evolution from where we are now coming in last. So I think where we ended up definitely reflects this sort of 2-3-1 order. And we can come back to that as we look at how the identity plays off across applications. And then I've already covered some of those brand attributes or core words that we wanted to reflect in the identity. So without further waiting, we'll share with you the recommendation. So this City of Saugatuck identity is the recommended direction.
Excellent, Jamie.
It feels, we feel that it's bold, it's flowing, it reflects sort of a handcrafted nature of our creative spirit. It's kind of the result of an approachable, welcoming brand feel that has character and sort of easily defines the sense of creativity in the community. We purposely sort of did the reveal in a black and white application so you weren't swayed by colors or things around it. We wanted you to get the sense of purity around the identity. But if we make one more click, you can see how it comes to life in full color. And you can see sort of how this vibe lives on one of our favorite assets, Oval Beach. So this could be on top of a photo that's a masthead in our website, but it's purely for conceptual purposes. If you go one more click, you can see sort of how it takes on a more official role. So we talked a lot about, and we looked at other identities for other municipalities and talked about the role of a city identity and its how serious it needs to be, or what the interplay between personality and official business is. And we feel like we found the right spot where this is a stationary and a sort of document expression of what the identity looks like in official correspondence. There's nothing that says it has to, like official correspondence has to be dry or it has to be overly prescriptive. I think the days of a sort of gold leaf stamp on a municipality identity are behind us, and there's no better community better situated to sort of reflect this balance of personality and official business. And so this gives you a sense of how that feels. Another application, and I love this because it's the most mobile application that you see around town, is how the red trucks look with this kind of an identity on it. It just sort of, it's a little bit of a wink. It's a little bit of a, it makes you smile. It gives you a sense of what the city stands for when you see it on a Department of Public Works sign or a truck. And then another example, if you think about the sign coming in on Blue Star from Holland, the one that sort of keeps getting mowed over.
The third,
Several times.
the third one, or?
You know, you can see how this identity looks in signage. You can see how it looks on wayfinding signage, sort of like Douglas has, and that's on the right. City of Charlevoix has very similar signage. You can see how that holds its own on that. And I want to say one thing, as especially for anyone who might listen to this afterwards. This identity on this sign is this identity on one sign. This is not a proposal to change the palette sign because that is part of our core identity. It's actually not a proposal to change the other one at North Street because that's really interesting. That's an interesting sort of late 70s, early 80s expression of our community pride. And that's part of what makes this quirky, is having sort of different personalities around town. So while this might be the official identity for the city of Saugatuck, it's one of many expressions of what we like to communicate, who we are and how we live. And then probably the expression or the application that most people are familiar with, obviously, or will be, whether you're a visitor or whether you're a resident, is the website. So you can see sort of how the lockup works in the circle for social media on an Insta page or a Facebook page. You can see how the grid might look with a series of posts. These are all made up. But I think the important part about this page is to show how a color palette can translate and actually help you find or identify with information. So that historic district box that is sort of a tealy blue, that's just random, but you may, you know, if it is tealy blue, you may always look for the updates that are tealy blue if the HDC is something that you watch and follow. Same with the Planning Commission. It could be orange or any sort of other update on, you know, beach passes and things like that. So it gives us the ability to organize our grid and communicate with a little more clarity. Another example of a website concept. So I love this one for how clean it is, how clear it is, and how the City of Saugatuck logo sort of sits on photography, and how the expression of the logo and photography work together to create a vibe of who we are and how important the water is, how important nature is. By the way, I think that's kind of critical to sort of the greens and blues that you feel, that you see are most prominent with the color palette. And then I think lastly, just a couple of variations. Concept A does a really nice job of giving you variety and guidelines on how to use that variety. So The left is sort of the primary logo. We had a lot of good conversation about this, whether it should just be Saugatuck or the city of Saugatuck. We landed that it needs to have the city on it. It needed to be anchored in the, like, that is an official sort of need. There's situations where it may not have the city. There are situations when you might add established 1868. So there's secondary uses, there's primary uses. They're really good about creating the guidelines in the rule book for city staff to follow very easily, so we know how we're being consistent. And then lastly, one of the things we asked Concept A to do for us was just put this in situ with two other logos that are around us, because if our primary audience is visitors, our secondary audience is residents, we all experience these logos. We experience Saugatuck Township, we experience Douglas's branding. So, like, what do we look like in comparison? And how does our personality fit when all three communities are sort of together? And we felt it was a good litmus test, because those other two logos are lovely. They had their own goals and objectives for their audience, and they delivered on that for them. We feel slightly different, but it also hangs together in a sort of three community region. But we also give ourselves the opportunity to stand apart and have our own personality. So we really liked how this identity showed up as part of the three. We feel like we're part of the family, but we're one of the kids that definitely stands out with its own personality.
Fun kids.
Yeah, for the fun kids. I think that's it.
Great job, Tim.
Yeah, thank you,
Talk to
Tim.
the
Great
committee.
job.
And thank you to all four of you and Ryan who were on the group. It's great work, and thank you for being here. So.
Yeah.
Concept A is on the phone if we have anyone has questions or comments. But kudos to them. They run a really good meeting, a really good process, and I think they listened very well.
From the other committee members, any Lauren and Chris and also
I will just
Kristen?
say that, we went through a number of variations where we saw different concepts that they brought forth, and we went through different, going back on what we, looked at as far as the goals of what we wanted it to look like. I think Tim and Kristen, having people that have a background that's more in design, was super helpful. I definitely don't have a background in design or branding or marketing, so I felt like I really enjoyed having your brains in the mix with us. And so we really, we couldn't have done it without having our community members with the brain power when it comes to design and marketing and branding to be a part of it. So very thankful. And I'm really excited about how this turned out. I think it says all the things that we wanted to say.
Chris?
I agree with all of that. They came to us with three different designs, and two of them focused very similarly to what we have now with the river coming down. And the way it did it, and Ryan brought it up, he said it looks like a duck being eaten by a fish. And I couldn't get it out of my mind after he said that's all I could see. Now, I don't have a lot of experience in design or anything like that, but I do have experience in pitfalls of deciding things for the public. Could you go back to the palette, please? There, go back. One of the things I wanted to be very clear on is that we have the colors identified that will be used. I don't want any colors out there that show up that we did not vote on.
Right.
And so I think we have to be very careful that we stay with it. They can be moved around however you want to, but those are our colors.
Yep, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Other than that, I thought it went very well, and we.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's kind of music to Concept A's ears, that when they create brand guidelines, they don't want us
They
to
are.
create.
Right.
Not guidelines, they're rules.
They're
Yeah.
Kristen, anything you want to say in the audience, Kristen?
I just
Yeah.
think that.
Will you come to the mic so we
Oh,
capture
okay.
you on the video?
Thanks. Thank you, first of all. Thank you for including me in this. It was a super cool process to be part of. I think that Saugatuck has, exactly what Tim said, a really unique opportunity to come up with a mark, a logo that is unlike most municipal logos because of who we are, plain and simple. Period, full stop, right? And I think Concept A did a great job, in my opinion, of putting forward something that does give that, we are the art coast after all, right? That playful creative vibe that also is serious enough that it can be on the side of a truck or on your letterhead. And I think that just is, it's so good for us to have a logo that honestly doesn't just look like everybody else's off the shelf. Gee, let me guess. Will there be a river? Gee, let me guess. Will the radome be on it? I love those places. So predictable, right? And the fact that Concept Day came back with this thing that embodies who we are in that spirit of artfulness, but can still be on the side of a truck big. I love that Tim said a wink. Feels so much like Saugatuck, right? Elevated, and yet we wink, as we get on the street. So all of those things. And thanks for including me, because it was just, I learned a ton and it was a delight to be part of it.
That's great. Scott?
A couple of questions, and I'm not sure if it's for the committee members or for the Concept Day folks. Is that derived from any existing font? So that's our own or their own invention.
Yeah, correct.
Those letters are their own invention.
Right.
So that would give us, and I'm not an expert on this, that would give us the ability to trademark or copyright it to protect it?
Concept A, I'll let you answer the specifics of that, but it is it's a custom logo, right?
Yes, that's correct. It's all hand drawn.
Okay.
Nothing like it exists. So it's 100%
Also,
removable by the city.
The fonts that go with it too, they've done a good job of balancing like what are usable fonts that won't cost us, as well as this is a protectable identity since it is custom.
Okay, so yeah, just to legally protect it, I think to a certain extent, it goes to Councilmember Peterson's comment about, a certain color palette that we shouldn't deviate on. I would want to make sure that it can't be diluted by others copying it. So that's my primary concern that I'm driving at. I don't know.
T-shirts. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Precisely. I mean, frankly, we should have the t-shirt concession.
Can sell 'em, yeah.
We should-
Merch. I'm all about the.
I
merch.
mean, honestly, we should really,
They did one with the hat. It showed it on the hat, and that was really cool.
You're 100% right. And we actually, early on in this process, we sort of said, one of the success criteria would be that you love this thing so much that you want it on merch. Like
Right.
that's a litmus test of, do you relate
Okay.
to this identity? So, but in order for that to happen, we have to own it. We can't have
Right.
random people reproducing it in a way that's not
no,
what we.
this is what I'm driving at.
You know, this is true for corporations. I'm assuming it's true for municipalities, but the logo, or people can, when they need to use your logo, grab it off your website so that they're using the official.
Concept Day will create that ability within their guidelines.
Yeah, I just go back to my previous job when I worked for BP Oil, when they went from just BP to the green and yellow sunburst. Suddenly you found a green and yellow sunburst gas station in Kazakhstan that wasn't a BP station.
That's right.
But they've found a way to try to emulate and copy, what we spent,
Great point.
what we spent millions on. So, I guess my ask would be, I think we should find ways to protect it. I don't know if it's trademark, copyright, but I do think we should pursue that to make sure.
Concept A can answer.
Okay, you guys can help
Or
us with,
Jake.
right?
And Jake too might weigh
Did we
in.
file a trademark for this or?
I don't see any reason why we couldn't. IP law is not exactly my bailiwick, but we have a couple attorneys in my office that do a lot of trademark work. And so I'd be happy to circle back with them and see what the steps are for getting some protection to the logo.
I would suggest we take that extra step. And the reason I'm saying that is because I freaking love it. I think it's amazing. I never would have imagined it myself, but I love it. It's fantastic.
I do too.
But I want to sense check that because I'm not an artist, nor am I, a member of the business community. So that's why I'd like to also ask Ashley for her gut reaction to it. I don't mean to put you on the spot, Ashley, but from a CVB perspective, what do you think?
Happy to be put on the spot. I love the playful nature of it. I wasn't expecting to be so pleasantly surprised. It's great. And I thank you to the whole committee for all the work you've done. Bravo.
I also have to repeat what Ashley said. I wasn't expecting to be so pleasantly surprised. As most people in the community know, I'm very judgmental. And I wasn't expecting such a wonderful font to hear that it was done hand drawn. And that it's our own font rather than a font I can find on stock somewhere. It's easy to read and it's fun. And I'm seeing the water in there. I'm seeing the nature
Yeah.
in there with the curves and things. I'm very pleasantly surprised, and kudos to Kristen. I know a great creative mind there that helped out, and everybody that helped to make this happen. I'm very, very happy.
You know,
with it.
Can you go to the where it shows the three municipalities? Because
And that's another thing, and like somebody was saying earlier, was that it's not the typical block lettering, too much spacing in between. It's not typical, and I think that's perfect for Saugatuck.
I just think, and also, in addition to the very, strong association to the river and nature, it's got a really cool, almost 60s counterculture vibe, which is,
very Saugatuck.
which is very Saugatuck, arts, diversity, a bit quirky. So it's got all that sort of, I actually briefly looked at the Rolling Stone magazine logo because it kind of reminded me of that ever so slightly. But it's different though. It is, but it's got that great kind of vibe that I think a lot of people expect of Saugatuck with the arts and sort of the diversity. And so I think it's great.
Yeah.
Of nostalgia, much like our last logo that was done in the 80s, had a kind of a nod to nostalgia. So I like how you kind of kept that nod, but then elevated it, updated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And I also love that, the pallet sign goes right with that logo, the other sign we have at North. I think it says Saugatuck, and I love looking at, it's like it kind of captures who we are, where we are. So.
And it's quirky, and again, easy to read. It's Saugatuck. You just see it there. It's not something you have to fight to see. Like, not necessarily. I don't see it with Saugatuck or Douglas or Township or Douglas, but a lot of logos, it's hard to read because they're being too artsy.
Yeah, and I really like leaning into, the name, the word, because I think there's only two Saugatucks in America, and this is the one that I think most people know of. And it's a kind of an interesting word. It speaks back to the Native American connection, to the river mouth communities here. I think I think it was great that the team really leaned into the name as opposed to icons or
Right.
It was really good.
It's clear, and I
Right.
don't take trying to put anything away with Saugatuck, Douglas, however they combine the three of them or anything, but we're Saugatuck.
We are. And it's perfect.
It's great.
Kristen.
It's a whole.
When you license this for a sweatshirt,
Yeah.
I'm buying the first one.
No, I think it could be numbered,
We're gonna have to get in line.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna have to get in line.
The first one is not on council or staff.
Again, keep the top secret until Jake locks it down.
That'll be $300 each.
You might have to have arrangements with different t-shirt companies in town to be the official supplier of the Saugatuck, da-da-da.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Welcome, Russ.
And we're adjourned.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Look, Russ, we all like it so far.
You didn't get to feel the whole presentation
Yeah,
that led up. to
Right.
it, but-
When it's posted, you'll have to watch the
I'll
whole
watch the
thing.
recording.
It's,
Hi, Tim.
it's,
One last thing, I think, Scott, to your point about protection, we'll work with, Concept A, we can chat about this afterwards, but usually, you can go in, once we protect it, you can go in and pull it off. We may just not want to have a version that is without city of, period.
Right.
Because I'm totally making this up, but if we had a drugstore that wanted to pull that off and say, we're Saugatuck Drugstore or Saugatuck Brewery, you could pull that off and say,
that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
city locked up on it,
Mhm.
that may give us even a little more protection.
Well,
Right. Good point.
And now that we're kind of going into this a little bit, I would almost want to, I think we're good, particularly with the city of Saugatuck and perhaps the date as well. But there are some similarities to the kind of rainbowy sign over by Wicks Park. I don't know if the font is that close or not. I think it's okay.
I don't know about,
Oh, I know what you're talking.
I know what you're talking about, but
Without
it is
seeing
kind
it,
of a,
without seeing it,
Oh, right.
without seeing it, I can't say if there's an issue there or not.
I think I don't think so.
I don't,
Okay.
It's a vibe of nostalgia, but I
Okay.
think it's not an overlap.
Okay. Gotcha.
would
But-
be my opinion.
Do we need to put a trademark or somehow put something in, itty bitty before we put this on the website even to share?
The TM underneath the.
Yeah, to
indicator.
share with the packet. I mean, because we were gonna post all of this.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I can follow up with you right after this. Do we have like a day before we post, or how long do we have?
Yeah,
before
well,
you guys have?
Yeah, we can get the packet on Friday and have, yep.
Or could you put like a watermark on it or something?
I don't know, can you?
I'm
just-
happy to follow up. with-
Okay, that'd be great.
I think usually with IP, the fact that Concept A created this for us, I think we're pretty much protected already, but then there's some more steps we
Yeah.
can take, I think, just to avoid copycats and the like. But I
Mhm.
think, I'm not sure there's a real risk of like suddenly.
Yeah, I know,
Right,
it's,
you
right,
know,
that's-
No, you never know.
Yeah.
well, I mean.
But the merchandise shops around town.
I can't
wanna
wait.
Right.
That,
Yeah.
and I mean, that is a real possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I think it's guaranteed that they're gonna want to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Good point.
Oh, great. So what are the next steps for council, Ryan?
So next steps are, we'll plan on having your approval of this on the agenda for Monday. And then assuming you approve, then Concept A is going to kind of put together that set of brand guidelines to then bring back that final package for you to sign off on as well. But we want to make sure that there's an approved logo and everything else before they kind of do that next step with the work. So.
Right. Well,
Good.
thanks to the team. What a great job, all of you.
Home run.
Great. Well, that takes us to discussion item C, which is the right-of-way permit application, no less important, for 731 Pleasant Street. Thank you, Grayson. Thanks, Kristen, for joining us. Thanks, Tim.
Not less important, but a little less exciting. Our applicant's proposing some right-of-way installations, and that kind of includes several retaining walls, some hardscaping, redoing the driveway and adding a staircase. Historically, like many of the homes on Pleasant Street, it's contained landscaping, a staircase, some water features, boulders, and some other improvements that are located in the right-of-way. While the proposed improvements do represent a significant private investment within the city's right-of-way, the steep slope that's on Pleasant Street, extending from the edge of the pavement, really substantially limits the likelihood of the area being needed for future public use. From a planning and zoning perspective, there were no significant concerns. After speaking with our city engineer, he noted some minor drainage modifications, which could easily be addressed through an amendment of the plan. And he was in agreement that the final decision on the installation is really policy leaning for the council, as there are no objections from the engineer's standpoint either. I put the council considerations for the right-of-way installations on page 18 of your packet, and the applicant is also online to help answer any questions.
Chris. Yes, know a little bit about this street, huh?
We live right across the street from this, and I think this is an exciting proposal. Where I'm going to raise my questions, I don't know how many years ago there was a 7-inch rain within a certain amount of time. And if I remember, almost all of the houses along there had to go back in and do re-support because it weakened quite a few things. This is very steep, and what will the fill be to create these terraces going down? Where will the fill come from? Because when you look off of Pleasant, there's maybe from here to there and then it's straight down. So if they're going to terrace that, where will the fill come in? I don't want any, and I'm sure there's no guarantee, but I wouldn't want any kind of sinkhole happening.
Right.
I believe their engineers online, so I'll let him fully answer that. But I do want to note that those were the engineer's concerns as well. So that was something he felt they could work through.
Okay. Is the
Um,
engineer?
Eric is, he's on his iPhone. He's still driving. He got caught up in some traffic. He said, "Hey, Eric, can you fill in on this? The filling?"
Unmute, so.
He's muted. Be sure he's being safe.
Yeah, right.
All right, can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So yeah, sorry, I was caught up in an accident on 31 there trying to get through Holland, but I am right around the corner and I'll be there in a second. But I can explain the fill situation. So the engineering that goes behind this wall is all 3/4 by 1/2 inch crushed limestone. So that is going to be a very porous material, no fines. We use a geotextile fabric to be able to separate the clean aggregate from the native soils. So when we have situations where there's a large amount of rain, we've got the clean aggregate that washes the rain through the engineering behind the wall, and then we have footing drains on all of the walls to be able to alleviate any hydraulic pressure that could potentially still be there. The massive amount of tonnage of the stone that's used behind the wall, we've never seen any hydraulic pressure be created, but the footing drains are there for added security.
Will the driveway stay the same?
The driveway footprint will stay the same. It's just the additional parking areas within the right of way that we're going to create to create some off-street parking.
At 12 o'clock, that's our picket fence. Right there, yeah.
Mhm.
So we, have seen lots of rain and everything, and I haven't noticed any problems since that time. I forget how many years ago it was, and it was shored up. But I did have a concern about what the fill would be if you're especially going to put a parking lot there, or parking for how many cars?
One car. Just one car. There's going to be just one more space added to the front. Right around where the mailbox is in the front, between we're going to have that space between the retaining wall and the street. And there'll be just one lot, or one space for one car.
Thanks. Hi, neighbors. That alleviates my concerns.
Yeah.
Scott?
I trust staff's recommendation, and I trust the engineering. My only question is, and it's about the new parking pad and the slope to the new pad, which would be in the city's right of way on Pleasant Street. So that's the closest part to Pleasant Street. What kind of precedent does this create as we move forward with what is going to be a very, I think, difficult and complicated project on Park Street, where we have the need to make it safer for the public to navigate Park Street. And we probably are going to have to deal with new parking pads that are in the easement. So suddenly we're going to approve one for the easement, and we're going to probably be doing the opposite, I would suspect. I can't say that as a matter of fact, but we know that there are pads and driveways in the city's easement that are going to be problematic as we move forward on the Park Street project. So how do we square these two issues?
Yeah, I think this street is unique in that there's just no room. First of all, as you know, we approve no parking on that street, on the actual street, because it's just too narrow.
Right.
On that side of the street, there's not even room to put a sidewalk or any kind of anything. So it's almost like it's not usable by the city as far as what I would believe to be true. I think it's just a different situation with Park Street. But it's a good point.
You make a valid point, and the no parking on Pleasant Street, which was unpopular, but it was at the request of the fire department.
Right.
So I guess this might be a time for Jake to opine if we're setting ourselves up for complications on another street, a busy street like that is a very much different traffic flow, but nevertheless we'll have some similar issues on City Council.
Well, I think there's always room for complication when you get these kind of requests, but the good thing is that each of these requests are going to be evaluated on their own merits. So the council has a list of, I'm sorry, I think, Eric, you might still have your phone on and I'm getting the audio fed back to me.
Brian, you get a turn.
I wanted to say I agree totally with Lauren. I'm very familiar with that property. I knew the previous owners. And I know the owners of the properties on both sides. There would be never a way to make a sidewalk or to widen the road on that side of the street anyway. So I would feel comfortable with saying yes. to
Well,
this.
in terms of establishing
Or the whole
precedent,
street, right.
the thing that I think is important for the council to do is just identify the special characteristics that are pushing the council in the direction of approving this request where other requests might be denied. And so, I mean, what I got out of the staff report and what Councilmember Muncy was just pointing out is the extreme grade, that is unique to that property, and it also makes that part of the right of way very ill suited for public improvements. Things of that nature, so long as there are valid reasons, why the city is granting this request and not granting other requests, I wouldn't be concerned about the precedent, because again, each request is taken on its own merits.
Okay, thanks, Jake. That's what I need to hear. So I have no further concerns.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This may be a stupid question, but don't most driveways intrude upon the public right of way? I mean, when they go from the street to the house, they're going across the public right of way every time.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all.
Other questions, discussion points, Russ?
Yeah, so looking at the staff review, the page 17, the last paragraph, the city engineer indicated that allowing the proposed patio, stairs, landscaping, and parking improvements within the Pleasant Street right-of-way is primarily a policy decision, which I agree with. The proposed improvements do not appear to significantly increase existing encroachments and are not anticipated to interfere with future road or utility improvements, which is we've been talking a little bit about that. Accordingly, no objections from an engineering standpoint. So as it also says in the recommendation, one of the council considerations is to make sure that the, either in this case, the engineer or staff departments sign off on this. My concern is there's twofold. One is that this doesn't appear to create a larger issue than there might already be based on some of the questions that are coming from Councilmember Peterson, who's, seen this property for a long time. That would be my concern, because you've still got issues going down the hill, down to Lake Street as well. So there's a lot of runoff, and there's been issues with properties over on State Street with runoff. And I don't know that this contributes to that at all. I'm not saying that, but that's where my concern is. And then if we have sign off from everybody that none of those issues are going to continue to be issues, or this is going to contribute to it, then I will trust the engineering opinion. From a policy standpoint, as I think Jake has mentioned, we have a lot of these situations. I think about the hardscaping over on Simonson. We want to be careful because they put that hardscaping was put in for, I think, appearances or aesthetics, as opposed to this is for just usability of the property and also protecting the property with the retaining walls, et cetera.
Mhm.
So I just want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position of causing a risk at Simonson or other properties on Park Street or other areas that we have to look at, that this is unique enough that we can say this is a very unique permitted right of way.
Right.
And it needs to be done in such a way that it doesn't open us up to risk in other areas.
Is it right above you?
Yes.
So you're hoping that it works too?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the drainage definitely needs to be addressed to make sure there's no additional problems.
I would say we discussed all of those concerns as well before kind of putting the report together, specifically the previously denied right-of-way encroachments. And for the reasons you mentioned, we felt that this one could be appropriate from a policy perspective. The notes that the engineer made did note the historic flooding of the site and just kind of the drainage and how that would work. I'm sure the engineer could make that sound more professional, but those were what was noted, and so he felt that comfortable that it could be addressed.
How did that lawsuit come out? You remember?
I believe the ones down next door to me won the lawsuit, so they had to fix the drainage issue. So.
Other questions? All right.
Yeah, the only thing I would just add, mayor and council, is just that, at the end of the day, I mean, property owners have to understand too, there's a level of risk here for them too. And at the end of the day, it still is the city's right of way. This is not a permanent in perpetuity type approval. I think Grayson's going to work with legal to come up with probably a pretty robust set of conditions and approval criteria here, so everybody understands that and what's on that and what's on the permit. So, worst case scenario in the future, if there is a need to make some sort of improvements in this area, obviously the city will still have a right to do that. But I think your discussion today actually was very good as far as kind of distinguishing some unique characteristics of the property and how it differs from some others you've denied, as well as some others that you might have to make some changes on along Park Street as we get into that project more. So.
Great. Anything else before we wrap this up? Okay. That takes us to the public comment period. Anyone in the room wish to make a public comment? Could be about anything at all. Okay, anyone online wish to make a public comment? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay.
I'm still looking for my hand up. There.
There you go. There he is.
All right. I appreciate the time, everybody. We are definitely, we wanted to make a large investment in our property there. We are looking forward to enhancing the landscaping and the street. This drainage is a huge factor that we are considering with this whole project. Right now, there's a lot of water that comes directly into our driveway from the street, and we have no drainage. Everything is just kind of reabsorbed through the sand there. It's really pretty poor. There are drainage lines, so we are looking to connect to all these drainage lines and make sure everything drains appropriately. We're looking forward to it, and this is our home, and looking forward to enhancing it as much as we can. We appreciate your help.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other public comments? Yeah,
Add to that as well.
sure. If you could say your name and.
Yes, my name's Eric Rosendahl with Lakeshore Property Services, the contractor looking to do the project at 731 Pleasant. The drainage was a big issue. One of the first things that we looked at, Christopher and Lewis had let us know that there was no drainage for the driveway. So that's why the cement in the driveway would be removed, so we can put in proper drainage to be able to get that down to the bottom of the hill, put in some infiltration areas so that we can get that and it's not just running off. The patio area and everything, we know that's going to create more impervious surface with a lower patio area. So we've got a drainage system planned for that as well. So we can infiltrate, and then all the excess water, if there is a 7-inch flood, that can be then piped down to the lower area. We've done these sorts of retaining walls many times. There's a ton of engineering that goes behind them, a ton of grid and geotextile fabrics. So it's going to be a very involved process, but we know through all the steps that we've taken in the past that we can make this stable and be able to hold everything in place with whatever water is thrown at it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, any other questions?
Okay, anyone else online? Okay, that closes public comments. That takes us to council comments. Chris, you want to start?
No comments, Mayor.
Okay, Russ?
No comments. Thank you.
Scott?
Just compliments to the branding team on their presentation.
Gregory?
Just real quick, I would like to say congratulations to the property owners and to our river, the city of Saugatuck, for the grant that was received from Eagle for the removal of the gas tank at River Market, what we knew as River Market. They received a $1 million grant from Eagle to remove that and clean up that mess, and which is great news for the property owner. But I think it's also good news for the residents here and for the health of our river. So I think that was a great thing, and just wanted to denote that.
Great, thanks, Gregory.
I have
Lauren?
nothing further, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say one more time, I love the logo. I think it was great work, very creative. It's just great to see it come together, and I'm excited. So with that, who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes.